All right, good afternoon. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy and Chief David Reimer. It's the 5th of May, 2022. We've got a tornado warning. This is going to be for portions of Limestone County, specifically approaching the town of Mahia on Highway 84 and Highway 35. So let's get down to it. Again, this will be a tornado warning that's in effect through 1:45 p.m. Possible tornado is going to be about 6 miles southwest of Mahia, moving to the east-northeast at about 50 miles an hour. This thing's cooking and booking. So, if you're in Mahia, this tornado warning's been out for a wee bit now, but you all need to go ahead and seek shelter if you're just now getting the warning. This will be a tornado warning through 1:45 p.m. Central Time. We'll switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode, and you can definitely see this thunderstorm is showing signs of organized rotation. Right there, we're looking from the Fort Worth radar, so the wind's in red, moving away from the radar down in southern Fort Worth and Burleson. Winds in the green, moving towards. So definitely an area of organized rotation and certainly capable of producing a tornado. So those of you in Mahia, you need to seek shelter. That's going to be the lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. We don't want you trying to go outside and look for this thing. In all likelihood, it is going to be wrapped in heavy rainfall. So go ahead and seek shelter in the lowest floor center room, away from windows. We don't want you in a mobile home, a travel trailer, or a vehicle. We'll go ahead and zoom on out. We'll take a look at what else we have going on early this afternoon. Rain and storms will be exiting the DFW Metroplex here in a wee bit, probably the next hour, as cooler air moves on in. We have a line of strong to severe storms across far east Texas, coming down Highway 43 right now, approaching Uncertain to Marshall to Tatum to Henderson. These storms are capable of producing straight line winds of 50 to 60 miles an hour. In fact, we'll zoom on into Marshall. Looks like we've got a pretty good area of strong winds over 60 miles an hour being indicated by the Shreveport weather radar. And these storms are moving east pretty quickly here, so they'll be out of the state shortly, moving into northwest Louisiana, where unfortunately I'm sure they're going to find a way to start producing brief tornadoes, just because that part of northwest Louisiana always seems to encourage it for some reason. As we take a look for little brief spin-up tornadoes, this area just northwest of 43 and 49 has my attention. Maybe a quick spin up there. That might be near Smithland. And again, there's no tornado warning. I'm just nitpicking here. These little quick spin up tornadoes on the leading edge of squall lines can be notoriously difficult to find in real time. They tend to happen extremely quickly, and sometimes they can happen between radar scans and sometimes may not even be visible until after the fact. But the storms are definitely capable of producing damaging straight line winds, knock down trees, could even damage some weak buildings. Or if we get a brief spin up or stronger winds, it could damage buildings wholeheartedly. Rotation near Mahia is looking weaker for the moment. That's good, but still tornado warning. Those of you in Mahia need to be in shelter as the storm moves northeast at about 45 miles per hour. We'll dive down into central Texas, take a look at what we have going on there. We have a severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for Bell County. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. Includes Belton, Salado, Holland, Little River Academy over to Rogers. And this is going to be for a thunderstorm capable of producing winds of 50 to 60 miles an hour. And I'll be abundantly clear, this is not a tornado issue. I know folks in this area are probably quite worried about tornadoes after the last couple of months, but this is not a tornadic storm. This is a storm capable of producing strong straight line winds, locally up to 50, maybe 60 miles an hour. We've got heavy rainfall and maybe some small hail. And again, this storm is moving east at about 30 miles an hour. Otherwise, at the moment, we just have scattered showers and a few thunderstorms across the Brazos Valley into central Texas. We note this flash flood warning that includes portions of Hill, McLennan, Ellis, Navarro, and Bosque counties until 3:15. That's from heavy rain. So I'm sure I-35 is probably not doing well right now, if it ever would. Got a little baby hailer sitting on the south side of Midlothian, about to cross over 287. That could be producing some small hail, maybe up to the size of nickels. But the only tornado warning we have right now is going to be for this storm near Mahia. And it's looking less organized than it was 10 minutes ago, which is good. So we'll see if the tornado warning's extended or if it is allowed to expire here at 1:45 p.m. We'll look a little further southwest. We might have some rotation with this thunderstorm northeast of Mart moving into the tornado warning polygon. And this would also be moving towards Mahia down the road if that were to make it there. Apparently, we might have some quarter-size hail on the south side of Midlothian right now. But that hail core loft is collapsing, so not too worried about that being a persistent issue. So again, we've got a tornado warning through 1:45 p.m. for Mahia and portions of Limestone County, northeastern portions. This tornado warning does not include Mart, Groesbeck. It does not include areas farther to the northeast on I-45. Doesn't include Thornton. So we'll see what this storm does. So far, they have not extended the tornado warning. Circulation might be a little more organized than it was last scan, but that's on the northeastern side of Mahia now. We seem to be undergoing a bit of a cycle process where this area specifically is dealing with storm interactions. So we'll see if we have any additional circulations pop up. We'll go ahead, let me turn off the radar. We'll take a look at what we have in terms of watches. We have a tornado watch that runs through 6 p.m. This runs across northeast Texas, east Texas, the piney woods of East Texas, the Brazos Valley, southern North Texas into central Texas. It includes Austin, Round Rock, all the way up I-35 to essentially Hillsboro at this point. East, it includes Bryan College Station, Huntsville, Lufkin, Hemp Hill, all the way north to Texarkana. And essentially, the risk of severe weather will end behind this line of thunderstorms. So the watch will be trimmed from northwest to southeast, or west to east, as the line of storms moves off to the east. And like usual, what we're going to be watching for are any of these individual little cells that start to try to show signs of producing low-level rotation. Let me turn the watch back off. So we've got this one little Boeing segment about to move into northwest Louisiana. Could have damaging straight line winds. We've got same thing down in Henderson. Might be a little bit of rotation with this thunderstorm near Henderson. Not a tornado warning right now, but a severe thunderstorm warning. Something I'm going to watch carefully, though, definitely, with this thunderstorm near Henderson. And then also, we're going to have to watch these storms further west from near Lindale to Athens, all the way southwest to near Mahia, for any indications of intensification over the next several hours. So those of you in Henderson, we're going to watch that circulation carefully. So the storm near Henderson, that's one area of concern we're going to be watching in terms of the potential for tornadic development over the next 30 to 60 minutes. It's definitely got rotation and the potential for strong straight line winds. We've also got a tornado warning with the storm near Mahia, but that circulation has broadened out or become less defined. We'll zoom on into Mahia and you'll be able to see, yeah, that circulation's pretty much gone in terms of there being a tight tornadic looking circulation. So they'll probably let the tornado warning for the Mahia area expire, and we'll keep an eye on that storm. But for now, my concern, truthfully, is with this storm near Henderson. Notice how it's not a complete squall line here, but we've got breaks to the south. We might consider this a tail end Charlie, and the storm itself is exhibiting somewhat more of a high precipitation supercell characteristic to it than a linear squall line mode. Further north, you can see this is a fairly well-defined line. You can see the winds out of the west, those are your greens and blues, pushing east, interacting with the south winds ahead of the line of storms. Those are just your typical south winds, shown in red. Versus this storm near Henderson, that is showing a more cellular appearance to it. So that's what we're going to be keeping an eye on here. Again, it's not tornado warning. This is all severe thunderstorm warnings for now, but we're going to be definitely watching it given the environment in place. And again, we're just having to keep an eye on all these little storms today for signs of damaging straight line winds and perhaps a few tornadoes. My apologies, I'm just doing some analyzing. So, again, a tornado warning now near Henderson. So let's go ahead and deal with this. This is going to be a new tornado warning for portions of Rusk County and East Texas. This is going to be for that circulation on the east side of Henderson. And oh, Nelly, we got a problem with that. Yeah, this thing's gate to gate now. What could be a tornado down just on the east side of the city of Henderson. We've got winds moving towards the Shreveport radar at about 35, winds moving away at 65. That's a strong gate-to-gate circulation now, over 100 miles an hour. So those of you in Henderson, be in shelter, especially on the east side of town. This will be moving east of the city of Henderson pretty quickly here, kind of up towards Durgan. Those of you on Highway 79 east of Henderson, go ahead and move to your safe places. Those of you on Highway 43 from Henderson all the way up to near Durgan, which is southwest of Tatum, go ahead to move to your safe places. This is going to be a rain-wrapped tornado if it's down, but it's definitely a very strong circulation. It's very tight. Notice how the colors, green right against the reds and pinks. That's what we call a gate-to-gate circulation, or tighter than a tick's behind. And we'd be looking for a tornado debris signature, which would be a little blue donut surrounded by the red. And we don't see that right now, so that's good. The radar's not detecting debris being lofted, but the radar's also looking somewhat higher up. We're looking at about 3,500 feet, so by the time we'd see tornado debris or debris being lofted, obviously the tornado would have been down for a wee bit. So those of you in Henderson, give it another 5 minutes and then move. You'll be good. This circulation technically now is just east of the city of Henderson by about 2 miles, but I'm going to play it safe. I'd encourage folks in Henderson to remain in their safe places. And by the way, if you want to keep an eye on the sky, storms in your neck of the woods, I'm focusing on the most life-threatening storms. You can watch whatever storm you want with the Texas Storm Chasers Interactive Weather Radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar, or just download the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. It should be behaving much better than it was this morning. I did get those bug reports. So those of you in Henderson, give it another 5 minutes. This storm is going to be moving to the east-northeast at about 25 miles an hour. You can definitely see on reflectivity we've got a pretty good little notch showing up. It's a high precipitation supercell, but you can see you've got your rear flank downdraft there. Kind of got your inflow coming in here. Again, completely wrapped in heavy rain. Switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode, and yeah, that thing's tighter than a tick's behind right there. We got a problem. So those of you east of Henderson, moving up towards Durgan, need to be in a safe place. And if this persists, and to be honest, there are some indications in some short-range weather model guidance. It's called the Warn-On Forecast System. It's an experimental product run by the National Severe Storms Laboratory, I believe. And this is showing this storm specifically maintaining very strong rotation, at least aloft, until pretty much through northwest Louisiana. So this storm may be with us for a while. So those of you from Tatum to Beckville, you're not under a tornado warning right now, but there's a increasing probability you're going to be under one at some point in the next 30 to 45 minutes. So I'd go ahead and start getting ready for that. If y'all by chance live in mobile homes, trailers, something that may not be a good place to take shelter in during a tornado if you're in Tatum or Beckville, this is the time to go ahead and move to your safe place, whether it be a gas station, a sturdy site-built structure like a restaurant, a fast food establishment, something like that. I'd go ahead and make that move now. If you're in Tatum down to Beckville, northwest of the city of Carthage. There's not a tornado warning yet, but there's probably going to need to be one down the road towards Beckville. So give y'all an early heads up with that. Switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode, and you can see circulation, a very strong one, and we've now got a tornado down. That's a tornado debris signature. The radar is detecting tornado debris being lofted by a tornado that is down on the ground. So again, we've now got a confirmed tornado northeast of the city of Henderson, moving east at about 25 miles per hour. This is going to be near the community of, I think, it might be New Prospect, about 4 miles east-northeast of the city of Henderson, moving northeast. So we'll switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. That matches up perfectly with our reflectivity and our velocity couplet. Notice it's completely wrapped in rain, so that's going to be the radar detecting tornado debris. It could be tree limbs, it could be pieces of structures, versus what would be a hailstone or a raindrop. The product's called correlation coefficient. It's essentially able to collect data over a very small area, throw it into a computer bin, and analyze it. Raindrops and hailstones, at least over a very small area, tend to have similar shapes and sizes. Tornado debris does not, since, it's debris. It's all shapes and sizes flying up in the air. So the radar is detecting the tornado debris signature at about 3,500 feet, and that's what we're seeing. So those of you northeast of Henderson need to be in a safe place now as this moves towards Durgan. Again, those of you in Tatum, southeast especially on Highway 149 to Beckville to northwest of Carthage, you need to be in a safe, you're not under a tornado warning yet. Beckville down, so let's just essentially say Tatum down to northwest of Carthage. You're not under a tornado warning yet. You're probably going to have to be as this storm moves east, northeast at 25 miles an hour. I want you to go ahead, if you're in a travel trailer, you're in a mobile home, maybe not a structure you'd want to take shelter in for a tornado. Go ahead at this point and move to that safe place, like whether it be a restaurant, gas station, somewhere that has a nice site-built structure. Or, if it's out of the way of this thing, essentially. this is the time to do it while you have some time. All right, we've got a new tornado warning. This is going to be for portions of Anderson, Freestone, and Henderson counties. Let's take a look at that. Again, we've got a tornado down right now about 5 to 6 miles northeast of Henderson, and this is generally moving towards Tatum and Beckville. Tatum and Beckville, about 25 minutes. Let's go to the new tornado warning. This is going to be further to the west and will include portions of, again, this is going to be for portions of Freestone, Henderson, and Anderson counties. This is going to be for a possible tornado located north of the city of Fairfield, just east of Interstate 45. And this is going to be moving east-northeast at about 40 miles an hour. Give me just a second. Get myself set up with situational awareness. This tornado is generally the tornado that's about 6 to 7 miles northeast of Henderson's paralleling Highway 43, maybe 2 miles south of Highway 43. Again, those of you, Durgan, Tatum, Beckville, start getting ready. I'm setting up my radar source here. So with this circulation, that is now east of Interstate 45, coming up to County Road 141, County Road 389. This eventually could be moving towards Crossroads, Cuyahoga, staying just north of the Tennessee colony. This will stay northwest of Palestine. But again, those of you in Crossroads, Cuyahoga, Tennessee colony, tornado warning for a storm moving your direction. This will be on 287 probably in 20 to 25 minutes. The time now is 1:51, so say about 2:10 p.m. Let's go back to our eastern tornado warning. What could be a strong tornado now? With this thunderstorm about 7 miles northeast of the city of Henderson, moving towards Durgan, eventually Beckville, maybe Tatum. This is going to be a confirmed tornado. You can see we've still got a tornado debris signature showing up. Let me put some roads on here. And I want you to understand, we're looking a few hundred feet above, or excuse me, a few thousand feet up. So I don't want you to think this is necessarily exactly where I'm showing you. But it's a pretty good bet it's at least close by. So again, this is going to be just south of Highway 43, coming up to County Road 324, County Road 326. You've got County Road 336 north of Highway 79. You've got County Road 263 north of Highway 79. And again, this continues to be a very strong circulation. Might be seeing signs of a tornado debris ball, or excuse me, a debris ball and reflectivity. This would be a rain-wrapped tornado. And this is going to be now about 6 miles northeast of the city of Henderson, moving away. So again, this tornado that remains down, it is on the ground, moving northeast, has the potential to stay for a wee bit. So we want folks between Tatum and Beckville to start getting ready. And yeah, this is a strong tornado, I think, if you've got Durgan, and then eventually Tatum and Beckville. This is going to be your problem. It might pass between both Tatum and Beckville, but we're not going to make that call right now. So again, this is what we're going to go ahead and call a large and extremely dangerous tornado now. 6 to 7 miles northeast of the city of Henderson, moving northeast at about 25 miles an hour. This has got a very strong tornado debris signature. Let me see if my algorithms are picking up on a tornado debris height. Not at this point. Let me see how high up this tornado debris signature goes. So this thing's lofting tornado debris over 10,000 feet, which Historically, given the very strong rotation we're seeing, plus studies with tornado debris height, this could be a EF2, EF3 type tornado. So a strong tornado that's capable of doing major damage. So we want folks northeast of Henderson to be in a safe place. That's going to be the lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You cannot stay in a travel trailer. You cannot be in a mobile home. Those things are going to be obliterated by this kind of a tornado. You're better off getting out of the way or going to seek shelter at a gas station, a restaurant, a friend's house, somewhere that's a nice, sturdy, site-built structure. I want those of you between Tatum, Beckville, northwest of Carthage at this point. If you're in Tatum to Beckville, and live in a travel trailer, a mobile home, or somewhere that's not safe for tornadoes in terms of being able to take shelter in the structure, to go ahead and move to a safer location or get out of the way. Frankly, if you're in Beckville, I'd just go down 149 a bit towards Carthage. If you're in Tatum or Beckville, head to a neighbor's house that might be site-built structure safe. This storm's moving northeast. It'll be approaching Highway 149 within 25 minutes. Continuing to see signs of strong rotation with this thunderstorm, with a tornado debris signature remaining very clear and evident. This is going to be moving towards just south of Durgan and Martin Lake. All right, let's go back southwest to our other tornado-warned supercell, or at least thunderstorm. Want to give focus to each storm. This storm, yeah, we're seeing a pretty good area of circulation with this thunderstorm. This is going to be northeast of Interstate 45. This tornado warning's for Freestone, Henderson, Anderson counties. This is going to be generally moving up towards the communities of Cuyahoga on Highway 287, north of Tennessee Colony, south of Crossroads. This storm's moving northeast at about 40 miles an hour. It'll be near 287 within the next 15 minutes. And again, strong rotation near County Road 221, County Roads 389, 121. This will be northeast of Interstate 45. You're clear on I-45 from this specific tornado. It's pouring rain, mind you. But if you're in Fairfield, Streetman, this does not include you. This will be moving northeast towards Cuyahoga, passing north of the Tennessee Colony. This possible tornado is about 11 miles southwest of Highway 287 and about 10 miles southwest of Cuyahoga. Head back east to our confirmed tornado that could be a rather strong one. Oh, Nelly. That's all I got to say about that. Got a very strong-looking tornado. It's going to be just south of Highway 43, about 8 miles northeast of Henderson now, near County Roads 326, 327. This is going to be in northeastern or eastern Rusk County, generally moving towards Beckville and Tatum. County Roads 326, 327, County Road 394, coming up towards County Road 2125. This will be moving near the community of Durgan. And again, tornado debris signature remains quite evident. That's tornado debris being lofted and detected by the radar. And this thing's completely wrapped in heavy rain. You're not going to be able to see it. So don't go try and look for it. Take my word for it. I know taking my word without you visually seeing it is difficult. I know this looks like a bucket of spilled paint, but you're just going to have to trust me that we know what we're looking at and that this is a tornado. I know this just looks like a paint map. You've got red, blue, green. You're like, well, what is that? That blue, that's violence. That's tornado debris being lofted over 10,000 feet in the air. Switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. You can see we've got winds moving towards the radar. Over 100 miles an hour. We'll let the new scan come in. Those of you in Beckville, we want you to be ready to take shelter. Tatum, same thing. As this storm moves east-northeast at about 25 miles an hour. All right. I'm just checking, make sure I'm not missing anything. Looks like I'm not. Now, I'll say this. You see these little storms north of Nacogdoches? These things are spinning. They're not tornado warned right now. They're not all that impressive, but they're spinning. That's the environment these little storms have to work with today. So you see all these little individual storms popping up? That's a problem. We're going to have to watch those extremely carefully. Let me check my radar source. I want to make sure I've got the latest data. So this tornado trying to switch sources, my apologies. I want to make sure I have the latest scan. Here's the latest on that. This circulation's starting to look a little bit weaker now as it moves northeast. County Road 2125. This is going to be very near the community of Durgan. Tornado debris signature is still there. The tornado itself looks like it's occluding, so it's turning more north at this point, right almost into Durgan, but should also be weakening. That being said, this is where we're going to have to see if we have a new tornado develop, and we could. We've got a new tornado warning now. This is going to be including the town of Burkeville. This is for portions of Panola and Rusk counties. Tornado warning until 2:30 p.m. for a tornado 8 miles southwest of Tatum, 11 miles northeast of Henderson near Durgan, moving east at about 30 miles an hour. This tornado warning will include Beckville. So if you're in Beckville, you've got about 14 minutes, so don't even give that. It's 2 o'clock now. This could be approaching Beckville, 2:10, maybe closer to 2:15, but I definitely bet on the earlier solution just to be safe. This storm has a history of producing a strong tornado over the last 20 minutes. Touched down possibly on the east side of Henderson before moving away from town. Haven't heard any actual visual damage reports yet, but this thing's lofted debris over 10,000 feet. The tornado debris signature is weaker than it was, but there's still debris in the air near Durgan. And this is moving east at about 30 miles per hour. So those of you in Beckville to just south of Tatum and Durgan need to be in a safe place. Tornado warning continues now until 2:30 p.m. The tornado warning that was further west in portions of Anderson, Freestone, and Henderson counties has been canceled, so we're down to one tornado warning. We'll quickly look in central Texas. We've got showers and thunderstorms. We need the rain, so that's okay. Nothing severe right now, maybe some small dime-sized hail out of some of these storms, frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, and heavy rainfall. They're generally moving east at 30 to 40 miles an hour. The only tornado warning we have right now is for this thunderstorm approaching Durgan and then poses a threat to the south sides of Tatum and Beckville. You can see the rotation for the moment has weakened, but that's not a guarantee it won't put another tornado down or doesn't have a tornado down now. You can see we still have a weak tornado debris signature. County Line Road. Rotation's intensifying again, so if we had an occlusion process occur with the tornado lifting, in all likelihood that is completed, and we now have a new tornado that is in the process of developing or is down. Those of you in Beckville really need to get into shelter as this starts heading east towards your community. So we'll switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. You can see we just had the radar update. That circulation's become tighter. Last scan it was a little more broad, but now we're getting a much stronger circulation again. I'll switch modes so you can see a little better what we're looking at. Got winds moving towards the radar at about 73 miles an hour, moving away at about 50. So we've got very strong rotation. This is an urgent call to Beckville. This is still probably 10 minutes from Beckville on Highway 149 south of Tatum, but this thing is trying to put another strong tornado down. If you know anyone who lives near Beckville, south of Tatum, northwest of Carthage on Highway 149, west of that or near it, do me a favor. A lot of folks these days watch streaming services. You know, they may not be paying attention to what's going on. Do us a huge favor. Give them a call, shoot them a text, send them a message. Tell them they need to get in shelter, turn something on, turn us on, and be weather aware. Help save a life and be a hero, because you'd be surprised. I mean, how many times are you paying attention to what's going on the TV? Most people don't leave the TVs on these days, so be that way of warning. Help folks get that warning. So again, this storm is showing strong signs of producing a tornado again after the old tornado dissipated and occluded. This is maybe a mile south of the community of Durgan. This tornado will likely, unless something drastic happens, stay southwest of Tatum. We're at this point talking about 6 to 7 miles southwest of Tatum. Yeah, we got a strong tornado down again. And at this point, about 7 miles west of Beckville. So again, we have what is likely now developing into another strong tornado moving towards County Line Road, about 6 miles west of Beckville, about 6 miles southwest of Tatum. I get radar data updates about 15 seconds faster on the screen to my left than you see on your screen here, so you'll see it here in just a second. But again, what we're looking at with this is the potential for another strong tornado approaching County Line Road. And there's that latest scan. Let me see if I can adjust some of the data here. So we'll just use that for now. That gives you an idea. So we've got winds moving towards the radar. Essentially, at this point, what this radar algorithm isn't handling well is the wind direction, but we've got winds over 100 miles an hour here. That's what we're dealing with, and this is getting very close to both Beckville and staying just southwest of the community of Tatum. So we want folks out west of Beckville. We want folks in northwest Panola County to be in a safe place. This point, still just a weak tornado debris signature, but I have a feeling the next scan, this thing's going to be looking pretty impressive, unfortunately. So again, very strong indications of a tornado, and it could be a strong one developing about 4 miles to 5 miles south of the town of Tatum, about 4 miles west of Beckville. This will be crossing Highway 149 closer to Beckville, so we want folks in Beckville to be in shelter. This is crossing over Martin Lake and Farm to Market 3231, and it'll be crossing over 149 between Tatum and Beckville. Switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode, and you can see we do have tornado debris being lofted. It's not your bright big blue donut, but that's tornado debris in conjunction with that very strong velocity couplet. There you go. Winds moving towards the radar over 80 miles an hour. Winds moving away at about 30 to 40. Right there on the apex of that hook with the high precipitation supercell, and then your tornado debris signature. So those of you in northwestern Panola County, you need to be in a safe place. This is going to be the lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. We don't want you in a trailer. We don't want you in a mobile home. We don't want you in a vehicle. If you're in any of those, you need to get out. Whether that means driving out of the way of this thing, driving southeast, or getting out of the way, moving to your neighbor's house. You do what you got to do to protect the lives of you and your family. So again, we've got a tornado down very near Martin Lake, County Line Road, farm to market 3231. Moving now towards County Roads 257 and then eventually 149. Close to this community of Beckville. We note we have no other tornado warnings in Texas. Yeah, we've got a lot of strong storms, heavy rain, lightning, small hail, but we're focusing on the most life-threatening storms. Speaking of which, this storm west of Mount Enterprise is starting to try to spin up. You see that hook echo right there? Those of you northwest of Mount Enterprise, don't be surprised if this storm goes tornado warned sooner rather than later. This would be moving up Highway 315. This is going to be very near Laneville right now. Eventually could be a threat to places like Clayton. And we'll have to keep an eye out on the city of Carthage with this new storm west of Mount Enterprise that's showing signs of increasing organization. What we have now is a tornado that is likely down. And this is going to be now approaching Highway 149. It is currently 3 miles west of 149, 4 miles south of Tatum, 3 miles west of Beckville. This may end up crossing 149 between Tatum and Beckville, but this is going to be a close call for Beckville. We want folks in Beckville to be in shelter. Let me try to get some more roads on here. You've got County Road 258, County Road 2561. You've got County Road 257, County Road 258. And again, you'll see the new scan. This thing is very likely down. We've got a very strong velocity signature, but again, it is completely and utterly wrapped in rain. You're not going to see the thing. Switch back over to the debris mode, and again, there's still a weak tornado debris signature showing up. It's not super clear cut, but we'll switch over to velocity mode again. There's the latest scan. Now, this is just a result of the radar data having some de-aliasing issues. It's on the software I'm using, you can see it clear as day. In fact, let me see if I can get that to show up here on your screen. Yeah, it's not showing up for y'all. My apologies, but anyway, it's clear as day, gate-to-gate circulation. What is likely a tornado, still getting a weak tornado debris signature. Coming up on County Road 257, at County Road 256. Then it'll be moving towards County Road 2561. And then we'll be moving up towards Highway 149. This may stay just northwest of Beckville, but y'all need to be on guard and be in shelter. And again, this thing is completely and utterly wrapped in rain. You're not going to see it. You're going to probably hear it, but you're not going to see it. Switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. You can see the rear flank downdraft. It's your rear flank downdraft. Winds pushing out the backside of the thunderstorm out of the west. These are your inflow winds being sucked into the circulation. Look at radar. You can see that same thing. Even with the high precipitation supercell structure, you can still see a well-defined area of circulation. Switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. And again, this is getting closer now to Highway 149. We're now up within 2 miles of Highway 149. 2.5 miles northwest of Beckville. 2.5 miles south of Tatum. Let me tell you, if y'all are on the south side of Tatum, just southeast of Tatum, go ahead and take shelter. There's the latest scan there. You can see that. You can also see a tornado debris signature showing up. It's that little donut surrounded by the sea of red. In conjunction with that couplet, there you go. We've got a tornado down, at least intermittently. So that's going to be a tornado debris signature now coming up on, should be just northeast of County Road 257 now. You've got County Road 256 just to the west, coming up on County Road 260. It may cross over 149 near or just south of County Road 260. I don't know if that Texas Utilities is actually a road or not, but that's what it's saying. Got Highway 149. This is going to be crossing Highway 149, maybe 2 miles south of Tatum, maybe 2 or 3 miles northwest of Beckville, as this thunderstorm continues to move east with a bit of a northeast trajectory at 30 miles an hour. So after Beckville and Tatum, this is going to be an issue for Highway 59. East of Tatum, northeast of Beckville. And you may note I mentioned northwest of Mount Enterprise earlier. We're still watching some organizing rotation with this this thunderstorm that's several miles northwest of Mount Enterprise, about 7 miles. That's not tornado warned right now, but we're going to keep a close eye on it. Circulation with this storm, which does have a tornado down. You can see we now have a more defined tornado debris signature. This is going to be just east of County Roads 256 and 257. This is probably going to be crossing Highway 149 in close proximity to County Road 260, a little road called Texas Utilities. But again, you can see we've got tornado debris being lofted, that little blue donut surrounded by a sea of red. And this is not going to be all that far northwest or southeast of Tatum. This is going to be crossing maybe 3 miles, let's just say 2 to 3 miles north of Beckville. Maybe 3 to 4 miles southeast of Tatum. And again, this may be a more rural area, but we still care about these folks. So once it gets east of Highway 149, this is going to be moving towards County Roads 266, 269, County Road 270, County Road 268. Got Highway 59 out here to the east. I'm just trying to put as many landmarks on here as possible. And again, this is a rain-wrapped tornado. This thing's got miles of rain surrounding it. You're not going to see it. We note a very strong rear flank downdraft. Those are the winds on the back side of the circulation moving into Beckville. So again, Beckville, the tornado itself may stay 2 to 3 miles north of town, but y'all are still going to get blasted with west winds over 70 miles an hour. We note the circuit storm near northwest of Mount Enterprise. At this point, 5 miles northwest of Mount Enterprise, moving towards Brakefield, or Brackfield, is starting to organize further. We note a strong amount of cloud-to-ground lightning now. Rotation aloft is organizing, so that may be a candidate for our next tornadic supercell. Northwest of Mount Enterprise, moving towards Brackfield, or Brakefield, or Brackfield, and then that eventually may move up Highway 315 towards Clayton. So again, this storm, we still have strong rotation now coming up to Highway 149. It looks like it's going to be near County Road 260, but don't take my exact word on that. It may vary just a wee bit. So this is going to stay southeast of Tatum. Beckville, y'all are getting blasted by rear flank downdraft winds right now. That could be over 60 to 80 miles an hour. Those of you in Beckville should still be in shelter anyway, just because of the west winds alone from the rear flank downdraft. So again, this tornado, which has been up and down for a while now, should be crossing over 149 right about now, maybe 3 miles north of Beckville. Heading back southwest, we note this thunderstorm about 5 miles northwest of Mount Enterprise is starting to organize both with rotation and velocity. You note how this thing's kind of by itself. It looks like a bean, a discrete storm. We've got a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning showing up now and some mid-level rotation increasing. So do not be surprised if this thing, as it starts moving towards Clayton and maybe Carthage down the road, goes tornado warned. I'm just pointing that out now. Tornado with the thunderstorm in Panola County is now on Highway 149, not far north of Beckville. This is going to be about 2 miles north of Beckville. Not too far southeast of County Roads or County Road 260. So again, you've got Highway 149 here, County Road 260. You've got winds moving towards the radar, 80, 85, winds moving away about 20. Tornado debris signature showing up is that little blue and green donut right there. That's your tornado. Loft and debris. And again, look how much rain and heavy rain surrounds this storm. You're not going to see it. This thing is literally buried in pouring rain. It doesn't matter if you're a storm chaser or not, you wouldn't see this. The only way you're going to see this is if it hits you. And trust me, it may just look like a hurricane in that point with rotating rain bands, and you don't want any part of that. So again, this thunderstorm will continue moving. Let's see if that's going to be a good little maca. Good enough. Going to be moving east-northeast. Now, that's not showing any towns, so I'm going to look on mine and see what we're going to be dealing with. DeBerry, you're on Highway 79. DeBerry, you're probably going to be our next community in the path of this. I know it's not showing up on my streets right here on y'all's screen. Let me circle it. This should be DeBerry. It's going to be coming up towards DeBerry. So next up will be DeBerry. But first we have to cross over Highway 59. So again, this is a relatively rural area. There's no communities between DeBerry and this besides the rear flank downdraft hitting Beckville right now. But we need folks from Beckville to DeBerry now to be on guard. We'll likely see a new tornado warning issued with this thunderstorm shortly. You can see winds moving towards the radar in green. Those are going to be winds showing up about 30 to 40 miles an hour. Winds moving away about 55 right there. That's where the tornado is. You can still see tornado debris. This should now be just east of Highway 149. We've still got nasty southwest winds in Beckville with the rear flank downdraft. Let me go ahead. We'll start putting some street labels on here. It's going to take me just a second, but I'm going to try and get this out of the way. Just for some landmarks out here. Hope folks who live out here will know what these are. Folks who don't live out here probably won't, but again, my main concern is to warn these folks who are in the path of this dangerous storm what is going on. I'm just doing this now to kind of get out ahead of this thing. As you can tell, Road Atlas isn't the most perfect. Some of these roads don't actually have names on here, but those that do, I'm trying to label. Switch back over to the how hard it's raining mode. Y'all can see this thing's got buckets of rain with it. So again, with this circulation, moving east-northeast at about 30 miles an hour. Next up, we're going to have to worry about DeBerry, which is well east on Highway 79. We're still a good ways from that. Sorry, I'm having a look off screen at my other radar sources. My other radar is getting cogged down with old data. This radar we're using on screen's doing well. So here's some good news, though, over the last scan. Notice that our circulation's broadened out again. We likely just underwent an occlusion process. Note that the last several scans we've had, it was bright blue and green against the bright reds. We're broadened back out again. We've broadened out the circulation northeast of Beckville. So what that means is we've likely undergone an occlusion. You see the debris signature. There's still some debris being lofted, but that might honestly just be debris that's been lofted. That could be just starting to fall out of the sky now. What goes up must come down. And sometimes what has gone up is not going to come down instantly after the tornado. Sometimes debris is lofted thousands or tens of thousands of feet into the air. And that takes a couple minutes to make its way back down to the surface. There's been instances in violent tornadoes, which I don't think this one was, mind you, of debris that's been dropped 100 miles northeast of the tornado, like paper, stuff like that. So with that being said, this circulation will be coming up to near probably County Roads 265, 285, 267. It'll be approaching Highway 59 fairly quickly. Okay, this is going to be a new tornado warning. And we note real quick, this thing north of Mount Enterprise has spun up. And frankly, the way this looks now, this might need a tornado warning. That's a problem. There's no tornado warning north of Mount Enterprise yet, but I'm concerned enough I'm going to start putting roads on here. You've got Highway 315. This is going to be near County Road 3145. Just east of County Road 317 South, moving towards County Road 3144 and 3153. Yeah, I think this might need a tornado warning. There's not a tornado warning yet, and mind you, we don't issue tornado warnings. We've got a tornado down north of Mount Enterprise. So yeah, this is a tornado. Tornado warning or not, we've got a tornado confirmed by law enforcement now with this thunderstorm north of Mount Enterprise. This will be staying north of Mount Enterprise. This is going to be moving towards Brackfield and eventually Clayton. So those of you on Highway 315 north of Mount Enterprise up towards Clayton, you've got a tornado down. It's going to be just west of 315, moving towards 315. Say County Road 3144 at Highway 315. We've got multiple reports now. We've got Russ County Sheriff's Office reporting trailers overturned at Whispering Pines RV Park 3 miles north of Mount Enterprise. We've got a tornado on the ground now north of Mount Enterprise near Texas 1798. There's your tornado warning. So we've got a tornado down. This is going to be near Minden, 13 miles southeast of Henderson, moving east at 20 miles an hour. I'm not sure it's moving due east. This is moving more northeast for the moment. So while the warning thinks this is moving east, I personally think this for the moment is moving more like this. That being said, I don't care if it's the exact direction. Those of you east of it need to be in shelter too. So this is going to be a tornado warning northeast of Mount Enterprise. This is north of Mount Enterprise by a couple miles. So again, this is going to be a law enforcement confirmed tornado. We've got a tornado down right now, not all that far north of Mount Enterprise. And let me again put some roads on here. It's going to be coming up to County Road 3153. Now, this data you're looking at on screen, the wind data is about 2 minutes old, so it might be on 3153 already. Near or south of County Road 3144, coming up to Highway 315, we've got County Road 3154, northeast of Mount Enterprise. There's the latest scan. Tornado still down, coming up on County Road 3144 near County Road 3153. County Road 3143. So this is a tornado down. This is going to be northeast of the city of Mount Enterprise. Unlike our storm further northeast of Beckville, which is much less organized right now, I've got it off screen. I'm keeping an eye on both these storms. I've got good data on both. The storm that is northeast of Beckville moving towards DeBerry has gusted out for now. So that one likely doesn't have at least a longer-lived tornado for the moment. This storm, northeast of Mount Enterprise, about 5 miles now northeast of Mount Enterprise, we've got a tornado down, debris signature on radar, and visuals on it. We've got RVs that are being lofted in the air. Oh, that's not good. Okay, so we've now got reports of a tornado down that's RVs are being thrown in the air. So folks, again, you cannot take shelter in an RV. You cannot be in a travel trailer or a mobile home. Safety tips, again, lowest floor, center room, away from windows in a sturdy site-built structure. No vehicles, no mobile homes, no travel trailers, no RVs. We've got RVs that are being literally, people are watching this tornado right now, and there are RVs being thrown in the air. All right? You don't want to be in that RV. And I really hope people are not in that RV. So again, this is a tornado that is down, coming up on Highway 315, about 6 miles or so northeast of Mount Enterprise. Tornado is down, doing damage. We've got RVs being chucked up in the air. This is going to be just south of Brackfield. Or if you want to be more specific, besides 5 miles northeast of Mount Enterprise, this is about 10 miles southwest of Clayton, which is on Highway 315, further northeast. Again, this storm is moving east-northeast. So those of you from, I'm just going to go ahead and throw out some communities here for good situational awareness. Clayton, Gary City. Honestly, those south and west of Carthage, keep an eye on this. Those of you north of Tipson, those of you northeast of Mount Enterprise, keep an eye on this storm. This thing's got a tornado down, and it's throwing RVs in the air. We've got tornado debris being lofted with the storm northeast of Mount Enterprise by 5 miles. Let's go back northeast of Beckville. The circulation is now on Highway 59. You can see we are starting to get a little more of a circulation here again. Let me try and get some landmarks in terms of roads. You've got County Road 3062. This should be a little north of that. This will be moving towards County Road 307. County Road 3101. Again, this is well northeast of Beckville, moving towards DeBerry. Those of you in DeBerry need to be in a safe place. This storm is starting to organize again with the velocity circulation. It's still completely wrapped in rain. But again, you can see we are starting to at least get a tighter circulation. It's not the strongest circulation, mind you. This is not a violent-looking circulation, but it's enough of a tight circulation. We could see a brief tornado produced out of this at any time. So again, those of you in DeBerry, move to a safe place, lowest floor, center room, away from windows, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This storm is moving east at about 30 miles an hour towards DeBerry. After DeBerry, this is going to be a threat to Highway 79, maybe near Highway 9. And then eventually this is going to make its way into northwest Louisiana. Let's go back south. This is a tornado that is down northeast of Mount Enterprise. Multiple people have had visuals on this, and apparently it's been chucking RVs in the air, which is not a good thing. I mean, when you hear this thing was over trailers, and we've got trailers reported turned over by the Rusk County Sheriff's Office at the Whispering Pines RV Park, 3 miles north of Mount Enterprise. And then you hear reports of RVs lofted in the air. That's not good. And those of you who have been watching this know I pointed this storm out a good 20 minutes ago that we'd have to watch it, and that we then noticed something was going on. And we had a tornado warning issued about the same time as the visuals on the ground. So those folks there didn't have much warning, unfortunately. And that's just sometimes how these things work. They can spin up really fast. But when you hear reports of RV parks and trailer homes being lofted in the air, you have great fear for what could have happened. So again, this storm, this tornado, which we have not heard a report on in the last 5 minutes or so, is now probably on Highway 315, maybe near County Road 3122, generally moving east-northeast. And again, if this keeps going, folks in Gary City, Clayton, you're going to want to keep an eye on this. Maybe if this turns right at all, even maybe Tenaya. So again, I'll zoom out. This is where we are. We are in pretty much getting into far east Texas. This is south of Interstate 20, northeast of Lufkin, northeast of Nacogdoches. 2 storms with history of producing tornadoes. We've got one storm approaching DeBerry. This is well northeast of Beckville now. This storm is moving to the east. I believe the Weather Service has it going at 30 miles an hour. That velocity couplet we were looking at a couple minutes ago is, I mean, it's really just very weak. So that's good. Could still see a brief tornado with this storm as it approaches DeBerry, but it definitely looks much less organized right now. It might be fighting outflow winds. Farther southwest, this storm now well northeast of Mount Enterprise. We're looking at about 8 miles northeast of Mount Enterprise now. Has a history of producing a tornado. The velocity signature has come down over the last few minutes, but it still could easily have a tornado down. Now let's take a look. I'm just going to switch over to velocity. You're going to have to pardon me for zooming the map around real quick. I'm just looking to see if we've got issues. Now I want to take a look at that cell near Palestine. Now unfortunately we're in a radar hole out here, but we're keeping an eye on any little discrete storm, especially that's just ahead of a squall line. You see this storm that's east of Palestine? On Highway 84, the Shreveport radar had a pretty strong mid-level mesocyclone with it, and we want to watch any of these little storms that are interacting with other storms just in case they have some sort of a reaction. Sometimes that can result in brief enhancement of tornado potential. I'm going to switch down into central Texas in the Brazos Valley and take a look. And again, if you're wondering about all this rain and storm activity, keep in mind the only 2 tornado warnings we have right now are in East Texas. Everything else, while some of these storms are producing some small hail, gusty winds, heavy rain, we're not dealing with tornadic activity right now. We have multiple flash flood warnings. We've got flash flood warnings for Smith, Upshur, Wood counties. We have one for Kaufman County. We've got one from earlier rains for Bosque, Hill, McLennan, Ellis, and Navarro counties. Flooding will be an issue with some of these storms and producing very heavy rainfall. But otherwise, if you want to know what's going on in your neck of the woods or across the country, download the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. It's got interactive radar in it. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers in the Google Play and Apple App Store. The app was misbehaving a bit this morning. Should be fine now. Or just go to texasstormchasers.com/radar for the same interactive weather radar. Coffee. Again, we've got 2 tornado warnings right now. We have one circulation that is about 7 miles west of DeBerry. This storm looks much less organized than it did earlier, which is a good thing. This will stay well north of Carthage. And we'll keep an eye on it as it continues moving towards the east and towards the northwest sides of Louisiana. To the southwest, we have a storm that has produced a tornado just north, maybe 3 to 5 miles northeast of the city of Mount Enterprise that reportedly threw RVs and trailers into the air. And that's just not good in any shape, way, or form. You don't like hearing those kind of reports. And then we've got severe storms further to the west, producing heavy rain, flash flooding, and the potential for small hail. But again, this storm that's northeast of Mount Enterprise now, moving up, essentially it's on Highway 155, just southeast of Brakefield, about 7 to 8 miles northeast of Mount Enterprise, maybe 7 miles northeast of Clayton. You can push the door open if you want. Okay. Sorry, roommates. This storm's going to be moving east-northeast at probably 30 to 40 miles an hour. They have it moving at 20. I'm just going to assume it's moving a little slower, or faster, excuse me. I'll tell you this, radar had a bit of a derpsy moment, and this is what happens when the weather radar either breaks or has an oopsies. I don't know why the scan looked like that, but hopefully we get another scan here in a second, because if not, we just saw the radar in Shreveport die/break. But again, for the moment, the storm near DeBerry is much less organized. Let me give some folks some clearing. I know I have not been good about telling folks when they're clear. If you're in Carthage, Beckville, Tatum, you're clear from this storm. If you're in Mount Enterprise, this isn't an issue for you. Still a strong velocity signature on Highway 315 northeast of Enterprise, though. Yay, the radar's not dead. Not as strong as it was, but again, this would be near County Roads 163, near County Roads 171, County Road 160, Highway 315. So again, I'm going to go ahead and say over the last 5 minutes to 10 minutes, we've trended downward on circulation intensities for now. What I'm going to do is, let's switch to the statewide view. Let's just go over the last couple hours. And while we look at this, I'm actually going to do some deeper analysis into the radar data. See if the fine folks at A&M have their radar going this afternoon. I don't know if it is. Okay, we got a problem near Wixon Valley. We just saw a tornado picture. TSC team, open the Twitter. Yeah, I think that's a tornado. So we're going to go back to this. These things are just spinning up so fast today. They're not able to actually get warnings on them, but we just got a report of a tornado near Wixon Valley. with this. This little shower may be producing a tornado. I know there's not a warning, but we just retweeted a picture of what could be a tornado near Wixon Valley. This is going to be northeast of Bryan College Station. This is going to be near Dilly Shaw Tap Road, Farrell Creek Road, Harris Lane, Hudspeth Road, northeast of Bryan College Station. I don't know what it is about this area that always throws out these surprise tornadoes down here. So again, a possible tornado, at least one that looks like a tornado, and trust me, I've seen dozens of them, so I'm fairly good at judging what may not be a tornado and what is. I'm pretty sure we've got at least a brief tornado down right now, just north of Wixon Valley. Or at least the most look-alike tornado I've ever seen. And by the way, if those of you who are using our mobile app, go over to the live or rapid update feed button, you can probably see the picture we just retweeted. It's from Marcy Gray. And we retweeted it. Again, this might have a brief tornado down north of Wixon Valley. There's no tornado warning on it, but visually, I just saw what looks like a tornado, so we don't issue our own tornado warnings here at Texas Storm Chasers. That is the National Weather Service. All right, looks like they're going to be canceling the tornado warning for Panola County. So again, this stuff that's near DeBerry, that's not tornadic looking. This honestly just looks like outflow winds, heavy rain. That's good. This storm that is northeast of Mount Enterprise, also much, much less organized now. Although we're going to be watching for it very closely for signs of mischief. Okay, tornado warning near DeBerry is gone. That is good. Okay, let me see. So again, thank you to all those who are out in the field, by the way, who are safely sending in reports. I know we have folks monitoring our social media chats. I myself, as you might imagine, am a little busy keeping situational awareness. We'll send out a video later of what it actually looks like around me right now in terms of monitors and stuff like that. But we've got a plethora of data coming in that I'm trying to maintain a good eye on. So now that we have no tornado warnings, all tornado warnings have been canceled, let's take a look at what we have going on across the state over the last couple hours. You can see we've got a fairly large mass of rain. Thunderstorms capable of producing some flash flooding, in fact, across eastern portions of Texas. You can see here in DFW, rain has ended. The sky will be clearing over the next hour or two. It'll be a pretty nice day, in fact. We have showers and a few storms moving into the Brazos Valley. Those will continue moving towards southeast Texas and the piney woods of East Texas this afternoon. We'll switch over to severe weather watches. The yellow box, this outline. I'll turn satellite off. You'll see that's a tornado watch. That's through 6 p.m. Note that does include portions of central Texas, the Brazos Valley, and East Texas. And we note we have a few storms developing in the southeastern Concho Valley, western hill country. So we'll have to keep an eye on some of those storms. But again, at this point, we have no tornado warnings. We've got a lot of heavy rain and some small hail, gusty winds. You can keep an eye on the sky with the Texas Storm Chasers Interactive Weather Radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar, and in the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app on the Google Play and Apple App Stores. We're not going anywhere yet. At this point, I want to check what we might have going on across some of these areas. So now that we have no tornado warnings, we can spend a little while doing some analysis of other products. Now, real quick, you're going to lose the entire radar display. I'm resetting it because I think I broke it by pressing too many buttons. Case in point. And that happens sometimes, but you know what? Technology is technology, and like my hairline, or the lack of it, it doesn't seem to like me very much. Okay, let's see if I can get that back up. And again, that interesting feature near Wixon Valley, just northeast of Bryan College Station earlier, that's not been officially considered a tornado yet, but we'll honestly just have to see what it was. If it may have been Scud. If it was, that was the most convincing Scud cloud I've ever seen. Scud convincing look-alike. But down in the Brazos Valley, honestly, having to have more tropical characteristics to some of these showers and storms based on how much moisture is available. So we're going to take a look at some of these storms now. Again, nothing tornadic, nothing severe right now. A lot of heavy rain. And I'm just looking. You'll note we have some storms going up in the western hill country, southeastern Concho Valley. And in fact, there we go. We actually have rapid satellite data available to us this afternoon. I don't typically show this on air just because it's not... check all this out over like central Texas, etc. These are high-level clouds, very cold, but when you have so many storms, it looks like just paint spilled on a map. But with this activity in the western hill country, I'll switch over to a different radar source. I can just loop the last half hour. You'll see you can physically actually see the storms developing both on radar and satellite. Satellite data is going to have to take a second to load, but you'll see it. The colors you see with the cloud tops, that's just a composite indice that adds multiple satellite layers and can show us the how tall the clouds are. We now have multiple reports from KETK News in Tyler of multiple injuries at an RV park in Rusk County. That's what I was afraid of. That's not good. I hope everyone's all right. But that's not good news. So we'll switch this back over to just satellite data itself. You can see those clouds bubbling on up. In fact, I can switch to a different product called Day Cloud Convection. That gives an even better look. The yellowish clouds, those are very low-level clouds. Then the taller they get, the whiter they become. So that's what we're looking at. You can see these thunderstorms from near Round Rock over to Rockdale. That's an outflow boundary that's been generated. That's an outflow boundary slowly moving south behind the storms. Rain-cooled air. So that may actually help pop a few more storms off this afternoon as the storms move generally east and the outflow boundary slowly moves south. We've got very heavy rainfall in portions of the Brazos Valley. Y'all can see that based on the how hard it's raining mode. We're going to keep a close eye on this cell southwest of Madisonville. See how it's starting to take on a little bit of a hooky appearance there? We're just going to keep an eye on these for quick little spin-up tornadoes today. Just in case. So that's going to be southwest of Madisonville and Highway 190. Madisonville has had the misfortune of being mentioned several times by us this spring. But we're going to keep a close eye on this circulation that's aloft at this point, southwest of Madisonville. You switch over to the how hard it's raining mode, and you can see this storm has a interesting little appearance, a little nub there, bottom southwest flank of the storm, and then you switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode, and it's got a weak mid-level mesocyclone, or rotating updraft there. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Definitely can't rule out, I'd be surprised, honestly, if it didn't have a wall cloud right now, but again, most thunderstorms can produce wall clouds, and most wall clouds don't produce tornadoes. So we'll keep an eye on this storm southwest of Madisonville. And again, we're going to have to watch for any little beam being like one of these little storms that manages to try and form today. For example, let's go back up into East Texas. There are no tornado warnings right now, mind you. If there were, we'd be focusing on that specific storm, but no tornado warnings. Switch down to this. We're gonna take a look at this storm south of Carthage. Some weak mid-level rotation, weak low-level rotation. I'm looking up in tilt right now. Mind you, we're looking up in tilt. So we're looking higher up in the storm. I just wanted to see what we had. Yeah, we got mid-level rotation for sure. Nothing at the ground, but this storm, notice how there's nothing south and southeast of it? We're going to keep an eye on that. In addition, y'all see this. We're going to watch this, south of Jacksonville, west of Rusk. So starting to see a wee bit of rotation with that, too, in the mid-levels. But again, we're looking pretty far away from the radar. We're looking at 8,000 feet above the surface. So we'll keep an eye on that. And again, you see all these little cells out ahead of the main cluster of thunderstorms. I'm just going to circle them. That, southwest of Madisonville, all these little individual beams. Yeah, we're going to watch all those carefully in case they try to intensify and become supercellular. So at this point, we have no tornado warnings. We have no issues in terms of tornadoes at this point. We're not going anywhere, though. We're watching a storm just southwest of Madisonville for weak rotation. Again, it's very weak rotation right now. And it looks like that Wixon Valley storm may have had a wall cloud, but multiple people have indicated that was not a tornado, so that's good news. Now this storm that is just south of Wascom, moving into northwest Louisiana, maybe trying to spin up again. as it moves into northwest Louisiana towards Louisiana Highway 171, Keithville, Stonewall, south of Greenwood, Louisiana. Don't be surprised if that tries to spin up just southwest of Shreveport. You see that little pendant right there. And again, we're just going to have to watch all these individual little discrete storms. And the Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for these storms in Rusk, Nacogdoches, and Cherokee counties. At 2:58 p.m., a severe storm is located near Maydell or near Jacksonville, moving east at 55 miles an hour. That's going to be this storm near Jacksonville, capable of quarter-size hail, winds over 60 miles an hour. And we're looking in the mid-levels of the storm. The closest radar is a pretty good distance away, but there is some indications of mid-level rotation. You can see that little hook echo west of Rusk, but nothing that qualifies as spinny mischief right now. We're keeping a very close eye on this storm southwest of Carthage near Gary City. There's nothing in terms of organized low-level rotation right now that leads me to believe we have a tornado, but it's rotating. You can see winds in the green. These are your west winds being pushed out by the thunderstorm. We have some rotation inflow. That's inflow winds in the red. And you see, just looking at radar, that little pendant right there. So that's interesting, and we'll keep an eye on that, but hopefully we have these strong outflow winds pushing rain-cooled air out ahead of the thunderstorm, and if that continues, that would prevent a tornadic circulation from developing. It would keep the thunderstorm outflow dominant, which is what we want to have happen, but we're going to keep an eye on it just in case. So, let's go ahead. We'll just go down the line. A majority of these storms are not severe. You can see we've got heavy... Well, here. While I flap my lips, let's switch radar sources. I'll actually turn on the regional radar. I'll loop it as I talk. I'll even turn on satellite data. You can see we've got a fairly large area of rain that's moved across eastern North Texas, northeast Texas. Cloud line about to clear the Metroplex, DFW Metroplex, so it'll be sunny in DFW here soon. Further south and west, you can see we still have showers and thunderstorms that are generally progressing off to the east across East Texas, the Brazos Valley. Most of this activity, again, not severe, but is producing heavy rain that can cause street flooding. And then further southwest, more isolated storms back into central Texas. And then you can see we actually have a few storms firing on the leading edge of a cool front. From east of San Saba to now just northeast of Junction, north of Fredericksburg, west of Llano. And those storms are also moving east. Outside of that, you can see the western half of Texas is enjoying mostly clear skies at this point. A few upper level clouds moving across the Texas panhandle, but otherwise it's a pretty nice day. And that'll generally be the case through the remainder of the day. Let me go ahead, pause. We'll take a look at the tornado watch. Tornado watch, shown in yellow, continues through 6 p.m. Includes portions of central Texas, the Hill Country, the Brazos Valley, and East Texas. If you are behind these storms in East Texas, I'm not really expecting any more issues. Same thing goes for the Brazos Valley. And then for the Hill Country, with this activity ongoing across Round Rock up to Temple, we need to watch these storms further to the west. I don't believe the storms on the leading edge of the cold front are going to be a tornado issue, but they could produce some hail and damaging winds. So again, this tornado watch continues through 6 p.m. Central Time. And we'll be watching for a few additional tornado warnings through the day. Now, let's switch back to the Shreveport weather radar. You see, I'm keeping a close eye on this storm near Carthage, to be honest with you. I don't trust it. I really don't. See, we have a broad area of circulation. Winds in the red are moving away from the weather radar in Shreveport. Winds in the green, moving towards. We're looking pretty low off the ground, too, comparatively. We're looking at 1,800 feet above the surface. And we'll look up and tilt. This is going to be 2,500 feet. 3,000. And you can see the Weather Service in Shreveport has just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for this thunderstorm, capable of producing quarter-size hail and damaging winds over 60 miles per hour. And we're still going to be watching this storm for rotation. If I had to put a candidate on our next tornado warning, if we were to have one, I'd say it's probably going to be this one that's southeast of Carthage now, and that would be moving up northeast. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning for the storms from Jacksonville down Highway 69 to Rusk, north to Gallatin. These storms could be producing outflow winds of 60 plus miles an hour, might have nickel to quarter-size hail, and very heavy rainfall. We also note some flooding is likely going to be an issue from these storms as they produce tropical rainfall. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the part of our year where we begin transitioning over to tropical-type thunderstorms, and thus, with the tropical-type moisture, these things can produce a lot of heavy rain in a short period of time. And those of you who have been outside today knows it feels like tropical weather out there too. So again, this storm, southeast side of Carthage, definitely has the potential for some strong winds right now. We're not seeing any sort of indications near the surface that this is producing a tornado or going to be producing a tornado in the next several minutes, but we're going to keep an eye on it just in case. It has a suspicious look on the how hard it's raining mode. But again, just because it has a suspicious look on the how hard it rains mode doesn't mean it's necessarily about to produce a tornado. But damaging straight-line winds over 60 miles an hour, which in themselves are problematic. They can knock trees down, block roadways, trees fall onto homes, stuff like that. It's not ideal. So this severe storm warning runs through 3:45 p.m. up Highway 79, pretty much to DeBary, almost to Louisiana. And then this storm that's now well east of DeBary, southeast of Wascom, may be trying to spin up. But again, really, oh, actually, you know what? That almost looks like a hook wrapping now. So actually, that my concern really is increasing just southeast of Carthage now. See how this is starting to wrap? Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. We'll get a tornado warning here in a minute. That could be just what we need for tornado genesis. The wrapping you see, by the way, is a hook echo. In this case, the rear flank downdraft. Those winds pushing around and wrapping around, and that kind of helps the circulation tighten up. Think of a ballerina when they're skating with their arms out. They may be skating somewhat slow, but they bring their arms in. They skate faster, faster, faster. Same method applies to this, and we now have a tornado warning until 3:45 p.m. No, we don't. It's until 3:30. I'm a liar. Okay, it's going to be a tornado warning for a circulation developing on the southeast side of Carthage. This is going to be moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. This tornado warning is going to include relatively rural areas, but does include Midyat and Front, which are going to be northeast of Carthage. So this will be a tornado warning through 3:30 p.m. Technically does include the parts of the city of Carthage. Does run northeast and include Highway 79 up to just south of DeBary. So those of you in Carthage, it's pouring rain right now. Very strong winds on the north side of the circulation. You may have strong east to west or northeast to southwest winds. and the potential for a rain-wrapped tornado. I'm not seeing any indications we have a tornado down right now, but this thing's trying to spin up between Highway 79 and Anatoc Road. I'm going to put some street labels on here. And again, so this will be a tornado warning that includes portions of southeastern Panola County until 3:30 p.m. This will be a possible tornado developing southeast side of Carthage. That'll be moving roughly parallel to Highway 79, but staying a couple miles south of it, over mainly rural areas of Panola County, but this does include places like Midyet and Front, so seek shelter immediately if you're in southeastern Panola County, east of Carthage, southeast of Carthage, up towards Midyet and Front. We'll switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. And again, this is not, let me be clear, this is not a clear-cut tornadic circulation. We're seeing some attempts at that, but right now this may just be a lot of wind over somewhat of a broad area. By a broad area, I mean a few miles. So we could have winds over 60 miles an hour. If we had a circulation trying to spin up just based on this data, it would probably be coming up to Anatoc Road, not far southeast of Highway 59. And then after that, this could move over portions of Hills Lake Road. So the circulation, latest scan, it's a little tighter here. You can definitely see where we might have a bit of a circulation trying to develop just southeast of Highway 59, but close enough to still be problematic. Anatoc Road, County Road 404. After that, we'd be moving towards Hills Lake Road, as this moves northeast at about 30 miles an hour. After that, we'll be coming up to, I believe, Private Road 7014. And again, this is going to stay southeast of downtown Carthage. This is outside the loop in Carthage, just southeast of it. But Carthage itself, we might have some very strong winds. We could be talking winds. Let me switch over to the, well, this is the wind mode, but we could see some very strong inflow winds. And that's what you're seeing in the pinks here. So this thing has very strong inflow right now. I'll actually switch over to a mode that'll show that. This thing has inflow into it at about 90 miles an hour, considering the storm relative motion. If we're talking about what wind is actually being felt, probably about 50 mile an hour east-southeast winds right now over Hills Lake Road east of Carthage. Our concern is what happens when the backside of this thunderstorm, say a hook echo, the rear flank downdraft, swings around, interacts with that inflow. That is what could lead to tornadogenesis and the development of a tornado. So that's why we have a tornado warning. This is still in the incipient phase, but definitely concerned with the amount of strong inflow winds with that thunderstorm. And definitely could have a tornado drop at any time just east of the city of Carthage. I have 8 monitors around me, by the way. That's why I'm looking to the right. It's good to maintain situational awareness. So again, the time is 3:13 p.m. coming up on 3:14. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy and Chief David Reimer. We're covering a tornado warning just southeast of the city of Carthage now in southeastern Panola County. This is going to be in East Texas. This storm could produce a tornado coming up on Anatoc Road and Hills Lake Road, southeast of Carthage, moving northeast at about 30 miles an hour. This is the only tornado warning we're dealing with right now. I'm taking a look to make sure we have no other mischief ongoing, but it looks like we are doing relatively well. We'll zoom out. We've got a severe storm over portions just northwest of Reclaw, southwest of Henderson. Could be producing strong outflow winds. But the only tornado warned storm we're dealing with right now is this one southeast of Carthage. We'll switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. I apologize for the distracting yellow stuff there. That's just this software's, there we go, de-aliasing algorithm not doing a great job. But again, you can see we still have strong inflow winds. These reds, these are winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour being sucked in by the thunderstorm, moving away from the radar in Shreveport. Winds in green, moving away. Somewhat of a broad circulation right now, but again, if this tightens up, it could produce a tornado. We're seeing indications aloft that that tightening or intensification is occurring. What I'm going to do real quick is we're going to look, let me clear the telestration. We're going to look up. That's about 1,700 feet. I'm going to pop up. This is 3,500 feet. You can see we've got a stronger circulation. Pop up even further, you can see 6,000 feet, a very strong circulation. So what we have ongoing right now is this storm aloft. The circulation is very strong. It's descending through the storm right now, the mesocyclone. So as that continues to occur, stronger and stronger rotation, tighter at least, gets closer to the surface, we may see, eventually, a tornadic circulation develop. So that is why we have a tornado warning, and in fact, if we look at the how hard it's raining mode, let me turn off the radial measurement tool. You can see we're actually starting to get much more impressive supercellular structure with the how hard it's raining mode. I really think now we are starting to see a higher threat of a tornado. You can see this rear flank downdraft at your hook echo wrapping around. So as those winds on the backside of the thunderstorm wrap around, we're going to see the ballerina effect occur. Arms out, spinning slowly. Tighten arms up, spin much faster. Same method applies here as that hook wraps around back into the storm. We're going to see the circulation aloft. That's quite strong descend as that vorticity is elongated, and we're going to see a higher threat of a tornado develop. And we could very well see that over the next several minutes as this circulation attempts to cross Hills Lake Road near County Road 401. And this storm is generally moving off to the east-northeast at about 30 miles an hour. We'll see if this turns right at all. But again, this thing is attempting to certainly produce a tornado. So those of you southeast of Carthage, if you're in the city of Carthage, in the inner loop, you're clear. This is south and east of Carthage now. If you're east of Carthage, you are not clear. Y'all need to stay in a safe place. This thing's trying its darndest to put a tornado down. And you can see we're starting to get some stronger convergence here closer to the surface. We're not looking all that high up above the ground here. We're looking about 1,800 feet. Make that 1,500 feet. So, in all things considering, we're not looking that far off. The radar beam from Shreveport goes down a straight line, the Earth curve. So the further you get from the radar beam in Shreveport, the higher up the radar beam gets. Earlier, we were looking 5,000 to 8,000 feet above the surface. As these storms have gone closer to Shreveport's radar, we're getting lower and lower. So now we're only looking about 1,500 feet above the surface, which allows us a higher level of confidence in what may be ongoing. I can tell you what's ongoing with me right now. Coffee's being consumed. So you see, we're still. We actually have a few little areas of weaker rotation here at the closer to the surface. The storm's still in the organization phase, but it looks like we have two circulations, one near Hills Lake Road, one just east of Anatock Road. Again, these are not tornadic scale strong circulations. I want to make that clear. We're nitpicking right now. We're being very nitpicky. But switch over to the how hard it's raining mode, and you can see that hook echo is starting to wrap around much more well-defined than it was earlier. And this thing definitely seems to have turned more to the east than northeast. Oh, I have upset the magical telestrator tool. Well, that's interesting. Let's not do that. So let me switch over to a slightly lower resolution product. We'll switch on to the radar beam. It may not load, so let me just try it this way. This may break this radar product, by the way, so don't yell at me. But you can see the structure of this storm has improved markedly over the last several minutes. That hook echo, you can see it clearly now. So this thing is definitely trying its darndest to become tornadic and produce a tornado. Does it have a tornado down this second? I'm not really clear on that, but it's definitely, in terms of trends, trying. Now I'm going to have to reset the radar program because by doing that, I broke it. For those technical wizards out there, the program I use is a 32-bit program, so loading all that higher resolution radar data actually maxes out the memory usage for a 32-bit program and breaks it. So I just have to restart it real quick, and we'll be good to go. Voila. So again, if you're in Carthage, you're clear from this. This storm is well to your northeast. And in fact, by having to reset the program, I just noticed something helpful. This is an outflow boundary. That outflow boundary is interacting with this storm. It might be outflow produced by this storm. Either way, that actually helps us determine this storm southwest of Gary, which has a hook, is north of the boundary for the moment. But we're going to have to keep an eye on that storm southwest of Gary just in case it tries to interact with this boundary. If it stays north of that boundary, the threat for a tornado would be lower. But good to know we have that boundary in the area now. Any storms that interact with that boundary, by the way, we're going to have to watch for signs of spinning mischief. So, with this storm now east of Carthage, still watching for signs of strong low-level rotation. The weather radar is on the southwest side of Shreveport. We've actually got a pretty good view of this storm from this radar. About 1,400 to 1,500 feet above the ground right now. So I can say with some confidence we don't at least have a stronger tornado ongoing because really there's just not much strong super rotation with it. Now here's something I am going to do. I'm going to look up and tilt. So I'm looking up and tilt right now. You can see much stronger rotation. Let me show you. We're looking at about 7,000 feet. You can see with this thunderstorm, we've got winds moving away from the radar at about, moving towards the radar in Shreveport at about 90 miles an hour. Winds moving away about 25. So aloft, we have rotation well over 100 miles an hour. Down at the lowest tilt, about 1,300 feet, we don't have that violent rotation. We certainly do have rotation showing up, but it's much, much weaker. The question here is that rotation we just saw at 7,000 feet going to be able to descend down to the surface? That's how this usually works. Tornadoes don't just magically appear. We have a strong mesocyclone aloft develop first. That rotation has to descend through the storm. And the process we're watching right now is that trying to occur. That process at least trying to occur. We have stronger rotation down to about 3,000 feet now, so the descent continues. But for now, that super strong rotation is not making it down to like 2,000 feet, 1,000 feet in the surface. But let me tell you, if we were going off the reflectivity, we got a problem because this thing is organizing in terms of its low-level storm structure. We've got that. And then we've got inflow coming right into it. Notice how we've cleared out the vault south and east of this precipitation. This hook echo is extremely visible now. And also the storm that is west of Gary. We're going to have to watch that closely. It's just northwest of that boundary, but it looks like it's trying to ingest it. If this storm west of Gary ingests that boundary, the threat for a tornado is going to go way up, way fast. The boundary itself is a little area of rolling vorticity, spin in the atmosphere. That storm interacts with that boundary. That helps to locally enhance low-level wind shear, really ramp up the threat of a tornado. So we'll watch that carefully. That was a little bit of more meteorological mumbo-jumbo for y'all, but real quick, I am going to, first off, slightly close the blinds next to me because the sun's come out at my location. Y'all may get to see my pretty snowflake jammies. Yep, snowflake jammies. Congratulations, you now know I don't have to wear fancy pants, but I'm in fact wearing pajamas, minus the polo. So this thunderstorm that's now north and east of Carthage, moving at about 30 miles an hour. We'll be moving into northwest Louisiana shortly. Note that boundary. I almost, oops, I hit a button. Sorry. We have what looks like an outflow boundary here. But we note the boundary here. So the question is this storm, at least at the surface, outflow dominant? It might be, and if it's outflow dominant, that's going to really make it hard for that strong rotation aloft to descend through the surface. So that might be what's happening here, and that would actually greatly reduce our threat for a tornado. That would be good news. Sure have gusty winds, but that might be why we're not having that rotation aloft descend. See, this is why it's good to maintain situational awareness in your local environment, your mesoscale environment. These storms appear to be north of that outflow boundary, which may, frankly, only be a few hundred feet thick in terms of from the surface up. It's invisible. You can't see it in person, but it's rain-cooled air. North of that, the very, very low levels is rain-cooled air. So what may have happened is that storm may be slightly elevated now. Still quite severe. And say from 3,000 feet all the way up is still in a very unstable environment, but from maybe the surface to 2,000 feet above the ground, maybe a more stable layer of air, which is greatly reducing the threat for a tornado. So hopefully that's what's happened, in which case the tornado warning is going to expire in 2 minutes and they're not going to reissue it. We are still going to watch these storms like a hawk, because if somehow one of these storms is able to snag that outflow boundary and ingest it, the threat for a tornado would go way up really fast. But for the moment, I don't think we have much there. But again, these storms are just north of that outflow boundary. And I'm going to loop this radar data again. And it's going to break this program, because that's a 32-bit program, but you can see that. But take a look at how this storm west of Gary is almost paralleling that boundary. And that hook echo southwest of Gary is almost right on that boundary. If it latches onto that boundary, is able to snag it or ingest it and become surface-based again, the rotation, which might be strong from, say, 3,000 feet all the way up to 30,000 feet, would be able to quickly punch down to the surface, and we'd see the threat for a tornado increase significantly. Is that what's going to happen? I don't honestly know, but for now, that outflow boundary is saving us for probably what would be relatively strong, angry tornadoes with this storm just northwest of Gary and with this storm east of Carthage. That being said, they're still quite capable of producing damaging winds and hail. Let's see what we have going on. Now, the Granger radar site near Granger in central Texas is down again for like the 20th time during a severe weather event this year. That radar is more useless than a politician sometimes. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to show y'all a great view of these storms closer to the Brazos Valley, because the closest radar that's working now is either Houston, Fort Worth, or San Antonio. But we'll just use the Houston one. We're not going to get a good view of the velocity. I'm not even going to bother showing you, but I can at least show you where the strong updrafts are. We've got strong to severe storms from just southwest of Wells to Kennard to Crockett to Lovelady to Midway, southwest on 190 to Madisonville. Heading south out of Madisonville, just west of 90, you've got a strong storm with some hail. That's east of Bryan College Station now. We'll switch to the San Antonio radar. And we've got a couple of storms producing small hail, damaging winds, heavy rain, and lightning from Rockdale west along 79 to Round Rock, up to I-35 through Temple. And again, these storms, mostly, at least from west of Madisonville to Temple to Round Rock to Rockdale, are not severe. Maybe some pea to dime size hail, winds of 40, very heavy rainfall that could cause street flooding and cloud-to-ground lightning. We'll be watching these storms back from Lampasas, southwest of Llano. Those are on the cold front. I'll turn on satellite data. You'll be able to see that. These storms are on the cold front. Behind the cold front, storm chances are done. You can see where it's clearing out. So these storms on the cold front could produce some high winds, some hail, but not really worried too much about a tornado issue with those. So in terms of what would try to be more problematic, you see these storms from near New Waverly to Willis. We'll watch those. They're not doing much right now, but you've got to watch any individual storms that are out ahead of the squall line. The storm that is southwest of Madisonville showing signs of some strong winds being pushed out of it, maybe some quarter-size hail. And then we've got these storms that are in East Texas from now southeast of Henderson, north of Tipson to east of Carthage, that are generally behind an outflow boundary for now, which is helping to keep them from spinning up into tornadic mischief. Now, you see this storm near Garrison? That looks like it's on the boundary or just southeast of it. We'd have to watch that. If it moves north of that outflow boundary, same thing as all these other storms, heavy rain, maybe some hail, damaging winds, much lower tornado threat. If this outflow boundary continues to slowly move south and undercut, that's the term, these storms, that would be great. That would greatly reduce the threat for a tornado. If these storms are able to stay south of the boundary or ride that outflow boundary, tornado threat could occur, at least with the most intense storms. Turn off the local radar. I'm going to switch back over to the high-res radar, or excuse me, the regional radar. That'll give us a good view of what's going on. And you can see, I'll even turn satellite data on. You can see storms continue to make eastward progress across the Brazos Valley, northeast to up into East Texas. So storm chances will increase for the piney woods of East Texas this afternoon. And we'll also have to see if we have any new storms form on the leading edge of the cold front that's from essentially now west of Killeen to near Llano. You can see that very well on satellite. It looks like our northern Mexico storms are fired up today. They're on the higher terrain. There's some mountains, higher terrain in Mexico, northern Mexico, that fire storms up almost daily. Around dinner time or in the evening, those storms can make their way over the Rio Grande into the Edwards Plateau. We'll see if that ends up happening this afternoon and this evening. To be honest, I have not had a chance to look at data over the last several hours for this evening, so I don't know what exactly is going to happen. Though I suppose we could do that real quick, so why don't we? Let me press a couple buttons, we'll get that set up. We'll take a look at what model data is showing for this evening. We'll take a look at the latest, high resolution rapid refresh run. This is an hour that run, or a model that runs hourly. So let me just go ahead. We'll pop it to 4 o'clock. Let's see how this model's doing. Okay. It's not doing super great. It looks like we're running too slow with the storms in East Texas. It's okay with some of this activity further west. I mean, this model isn't doing great, so if it's not initializing correctly, it's probably not going to be doing well later. But we'll still just take a look to see what storms might do. That follows expectations. The overall area of storms continues to shift east-southeast. We could have some strong, rowdy storms in Houston by dinner time. Storms in northern Mexico may try to make a run at South Texas, but may run into a stronger cap. Storms in southeast Texas, the Golden Triangle, around 10 o'clock. Some might be strong with some hail and gusty winds, but otherwise looks like we'll be quieting down as the cool front and storms themselves start to move off the upper Texas coast around midnight. So that is the general expectation this evening, which matches what we're seeing right now, that the highest storm chances for the remainder of the day will probably be across portions of East Texas, the Brazos Valley, and then later this evening we could see some storms make their way into southeast Texas and the Golden Triangle. Now let's go back up into East Texas. Severe storms capable of producing some hail. Now I'll tell you something. Near Gary, you see that? I'm going to draw the outflow boundary. This is where I think it is. Notice how that little pendant near Gary is trying to adjust that boundary. I'm going to see if I can find the boundary on my other radar. Notice, and then we have this activity south of Tipton. This storm just south of Carthage, it's trying its darndest to become surface-based again. And if that happens, it may try to spin up. Nothing like that happening right now, mind you. But notice how that hook's trying to reach out and grab that boundary. If that happens, that could allow enough vorticity into low levels for a possible tornado threat south and east of Carthage. This storm might have some hail, by the way, $1/4 to $1/2 size hail. It's got a pretty good hail core aloft, a lot of lightning. The Gary City storm. I don't know why it shows up as Gary City on one program and Gary on the other. I'm going to look that up later and find out and fix that. That's an interesting question. I'm going to look it up now because I'm curious. Is it Gary or Gary City? Gary City. Okay. That's good to know. I'm going to fix that right now. So again, strongest storm we seem to have right now is south of Carthage near Gary City. That'll be moving northeast into northwest Louisiana towards Stonewall, Louisiana over the next 30 minutes or so. Okay, fix the Gary to Gary City, and there we go. Much better. I might have to come in here later and actually manually add some cities. That's not going to be pleasant. So again, this severe storm now just southeast of Carthage could have some quarter to $half size hail with it. And this is the strongest storm we're dealing with so far. And we'll keep an eye on the storm could be moving towards Huntsville eventually. Ooh, nice little hail core on Highway 90 south of Madisonville. That could have some quarter-size hail falling. Again, the closest radar is unfortunately down for like the 900th time. The Granger radar might be the most unreliable radar we have in the country, unfortunately, but what are you going to do? So we're looking from Houston at 11,000 feet. Good to see the hail core aloft, but not so good for any sort of rotation. Fortunately, we have a couple small radars around Houston Bush Intercontinental and Houston Hobby. Let me see if they're close enough. Barely. We could use for any sort of rotation if need be, but we're just seeing some very strong winds at the moment. In fact, let me see if I can pop that up on my other screen. I'm going to edit it real quick. Y'all are going to actually see me edit this. My apologies for doing this on screen, but that's life. Let me put it under my head. Hey, look, you can see me. So this is using radar data from a terminal Doppler weather radar site down northwest of Houston near Tomball. These were put in after the Delta 191 crash in 1986 at DFW that was caused by wind shear. So you can see the right on the range of the radar, we're seeing those blues. Those are winds over 50, 55 miles an hour just east of Highway 90 from near Singleton to east of Badeas, southeast of Madisonville, assuming. But that's the range of those radars. We'll switch back over to our main product here. And in fact, since we don't have a tornado warning, let's just use the chat. So that's a strong storm. That'll be moving towards Huntsville. That could have some quarter-size hail with it. And we had a storm pop up on I-35 real quick. Closest radar that is working is probably Fort Worth, so let's use that. Yeah, pretty good little hail core just southeast of Troy based off this product. That'll be moving towards Lott and Marlin. Over the next several minutes, along with Chilton. Switch to the Shreveport radar. Take a look at this. Yeah, this looks less organized than it did, at least low-level wise earlier. So again, I think the outflow boundary is still undercutting these storms, which is good. Hail threat, maybe some strong winds. Could have some strong winds with wind-driven hail just southeast of Carthage. Little bit of either rotation or a microburst on the Texas-Louisiana border. Just due west of Keachie and moving towards Stonewall, Louisiana. That might be an area of low-level rotation, but it's north of the boundary, so that'd be pretty surprising, but it's not far from the radar either, so we're looking real low level. Either way, that's going to be an issue for the southern Shreveport Metro. It'll be out of Texas shortly. So let's switch back to the Texas view. I'll zoom on in and let's just load a loop over the last 6 hours with the satellite data. Make sure radar's on. There you go. So this is what it looks like over the last several hours. You can see we're generally clearing out in the DFW Metroplex. We still have storms in portions of East Texas, Northeast Texas, down into the Brazos Valley, and Central Texas. Highest severe weather threat over the next several hours, damaging winds, some quarter to ping pong ball size hail maybe. There is a low threat for a tornado still, especially if we get any storms that fire up ahead of the main line we're seeing right now. Otherwise, we have a couple storms firing back on the cool front from near Troy, southwest. Marlin essentially to Troy, to Lampasas, down to Llano. We could see some storms along the lean edge of the cold front that could have some hail and damaging winds. But without any tornado warnings for a while now, we're going to go ahead and take a bit of a break. You can keep track of the storms using the rapid update feed and the interactive weather radar function in the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Texas Storm Chasers in the Google Play and Apple App Store. It's all free. And you can visit our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar. We've got radar there too, severe weather outlooks. Rapid update feeds are also available, and we're adding more stuff all the time. So we'll be back if needed. Otherwise, I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy and Chief David Reimer. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We really do hope folks around north of the tornado earlier and all the tornadoes earlier are all right. But we've definitely heard some problematic reports from the one that was north of Mount Enterprise. And that just wasn't a good situation. So, hope everyone's all right. I'll be praying. Y'all have a good afternoon. Again, if we have another tornado warning or higher impact severe weather, we'll be back. Otherwise, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that bell. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers this year. Y'all have a good afternoon. God bless.